Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. for another episode of the Dirty Air Dale Jr. Download with my co-host, TJ Majors. We got Chase Elliott calling in today. We're going to talk about Atlanta and the bracket and all the fun stuff going on in the sport. And should be a lot of fun. We got Dirty Mo Doe, Ass Jr. Let's get to it. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download, and we're doing this show remotely, and but we got our co-host back, TJ Majors, and he's also remote. How you doing, TJ?
I'm good, pretty good. Missed you last week. Well, Gateway was a fun test.
Yeah.
So
good to have everybody back together. I've been looking forward to doing this show. Feels like it's been a while. I don't know why. I guess last week felt extremely long because I was transforming from the Amazon 5-race schedule to the TNT 5-race schedule starting in Atlanta. And, it was, I was excited, but at the same time, hadn't never worked with most of the people that are going to be on this TNT production. And as we've said many times, with the Amazon 5-race schedule, there was a kind of like a top layer of Amazon people. And then underneath that, in the actual bulk of the cake, were a lot of familiar faces from NBC. So that's why that's kind of why that worked as well as it did in such a short span. When I worked with NBC, we had 20 races, and we would spend half of that time working out little kinks and never really feel like we were doing our best work, or at least I felt like I wasn't doing my best work till later toward the end of the year. And we got 5 races here to get this right, so pretty smart for Amazon to bring in some of that experience that NBC has. The weather threw us some curveballs, and we had this stage that we were going to use behind pit wall we didn't get to use. We had to rush our pre-race team up to a booth that we weren't planning on using. And it just, I hated it because it just didn't give us a chance to get off on the right foot. We had a plan that I thought was going to be great, and we didn't get to utilize it as we had prepared and expected. With all that said, I feel like that we've got some really great ingredients. We got all the right people in terms of talent to have a great show. And I was really happy with how the race was cut. I really am happy also with the temperament and approach of the producer. So I think we're going to make a giant leap forward. I was pretty pleased by the end of the day with what we did as a broadcast team. And obviously the race itself was incredible. No matter where that race was broadcast, it was a great race. But I feel like that, I've talked to a lot of people in the past 24 hours with our TNT team, and I expect there will be a big chunk of a big leap forward, I think, in how we do the job and how well we do it. Anyways, I was glad to get one in the books for TNT. I'm ready to go on to Chicago. With all that said, let's look back on Atlanta just a little bit. There's an interesting sort of, and I don't think this is a big deal. Listen, old Atlanta versus new Atlanta. I think that judging just kind of by surface level peaks into social media and things like that, I feel like that 80% or more like new Atlanta. Old Atlanta, worn out, was a blast as a driver. You loved it. You moved all over the racetrack. It was fun as hell. Cars sliding all over the place. But those races were hard to watch as a viewer. And there ain't no denying it. The crowd was suffering. We weren't selling any tickets. And Marcus Smith, who owns that racetrack, was in a spiral if he didn't make a change. There wasn't much opportunity or any kind of neat idea or anything that was really going to bring that interest back to Atlanta without a big shift and a big change. So the reconfiguration was done. A lot of pushback from drivers. Oh, no, don't. We love it. Of course we did. I loved it. I loved Old Atlanta. But they needed to do something to get some new energy and have people go, let me take another look at this. I hadn't really paid Atlanta much attention, or I don't rank Atlanta very high on my list. Let me take another look. And it's produced the best, most exciting show that we have currently. Now that could change in the next year or two. Something else might be awesome. Or Atlanta might sort of revert back to its old self. I think that's happening, actually. But there's this sort of, post-race, there's this sort of conversation, I think, happening of, people just some people will see that race Sunday and have a problem with it, which, or say that it's, it's not the kind of product or kind of race that they want to see, or they don't like what, they saw, all the cars crashing and half the field get knocked out and that kind of stuff. So, I feel like that people have to understand. I had to think about it like this too. Like I want Atlanta to survive. Not only do I want the track itself to work and function in NASCAR, but I want the area around the track to develop. When you look at the success of some of these racetracks, you can kind of check out the property and see.
Kansas.
Yep, Kansas is a good one. Casinos, hotels. There's a potential project of big development that I believe is already on paper and ready to go for Atlanta if the race can return to its sort of peak, peak demand and peak audience. We had a really good crowd this past race. Probably, I think they said the best crowd in the last 10 years. Those are good signs. I think that's kind of a NASCAR thing where crowds are getting better everywhere, but that's a good sign for the future of Atlanta. So the configuration was necessary, and the product that it puts on the racetrack is drawing a lot of interest to sort of unlock this process of development and excitement just around the property to really bring all of that up, right? And make the race even more of a great experience. Imagine like when you go to a race, if you're camping or you're tailgating outside and you want to run down to the Arby's or something, but it's 20 minutes away, right? If you want to go grab you a breakfast sandwich or something for lunch, or you forgot something, or you want to add something to your tailgate, the development right around or in near proximity to the racetrack makes that an easier process and a better experience, I think, for the weekender. So, and the casino opportunities and things like that are a big deal for people. So, I'm pretty happy. I think, honestly, though, I'll say this: they did not have to change the banking or the width of the track to have this kind of racing, the kind of racing we're seeing right now at Atlanta. They probably don't know that, and they probably don't really care at this point. But if you had repaved the old Atlanta and put this package on the racetrack, we would probably see the exact same race. So at least that's my opinion. But the racing at Atlanta is unique to itself. We this younger demographic of race fans, people your age, Travis, come in to the sport, right? And welcome you in, right? You're a new fan. You've been a fan for how many years now? And there's a lot of other younger fans coming in. And y'all come in, and this is something I got to get used to as an old head. Y'all change some of the language. You know, you'll name things different. Like a long time ago, restrictor plates came into the sport, and we called those tracks where they ran them restrictor plate tracks. But Atlanta got reconfigured, and we started seeing a similar style of racing there. And they don't have restrictor plates anymore. They have, you know, carburetor spacers and different things and different ways to limit the horsepower. And so now we didn't know what to call Atlanta because it's not a restrictor plate track. They don't really, those parts and pieces aren't around anymore. So we call them drafting tracks, which I hate, but it is what it is. I don't get to choose. But we don't really see the same type of racing at Daytona and Talladega that we see at Atlanta. Atlanta is its own thing, and it has a little bit to do with the shape of the track and the how short it is. It has the dog leg, all those things. Produce a unique style of racing we see nowhere else.
See, that's why I think calling it a drafting track is a disservice because people didn't group it with those, and it's not the same racing. So, like,
yeah,
you shouldn't. We need to not do that because I think it's maybe hurting what people's perception
It was
is.
I would say just up one day, and this happened just recently when they reconfigured Atlanta. Somebody decided, well, what are we going to call this? What are we going to do? What are we? Drafting tracks. It's just really low-hanging fruit, lazy way to sort of describe these three tracks together. And so, unfortunately for Daytona and Talladega, we no longer will reference them as restrictor plate tracks. That'll go away over time. But it's just a little gripe that I have because the problem is Austin Hill's winning a lot of races at Atlanta. He's winning races at Daytona and Talladega. He should be celebrated for that. This is not a knock on Austin Hill, but now they have lumped in the stats that me and Dad had from Daytona and Talladega into the stats at Atlanta of the new configuration of Atlanta. And they're compiling this sort of statistical, scoreboard, if you will. And at one point, Atlanta's going back to this old, worn-out, non-drafting style of racing. At some point, it will. That surface, and it's going to happen in the next 2, 3, 4 years. You're going to go off in the corner, and you're not going to be able to be that close in proximity to the car behind you because of the lack of grip. You're going to have to really get further away from each other, really run in different lanes, and it's going to be more similar to what we see at Kansas and other places. Like
they're going to change their stat book?
Then what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to just decide at some point, some random race. Well, it doesn't look like drafting anymore. So, what
it should never have been included.
Agree. Should have never
even been included.
Never. And so they just need a way to be able to give you statistics about this driver is good at these style of tracks where, the racing is similar. And, but without really altering the scoreboard, if you will. So, Austin Hill is a hell of a race car driver and damn good at Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta. But yeah, I'm conflicted on what do we've added this Atlanta race into that restrictor plate track sort of scoreboard, and now eventually it's coming back out, and it's not a statistic that is. It's not a statistic that's like, who decides when that happens? That's not a governing body decision. And so like what stats will go into the drafting track pile and which stats won't, that's decided by some stat guy, I suppose, or some network executive in a production meeting, in just general conversation. Well, should we not call it that anymore? All right, we got enough votes in the room. Okay, we won't call it that anymore this week. And going forward, that's going to be the way it goes. So anyhow, I've kind of got off on a rant here, but I was a little surprised that the racing we saw at Atlanta was still somewhat similar to the style of racing we used to see at Daytona, Talladega, but I think it's shifting further and further away, less and less grip, more and more abrasive of a surface, and which I think we'll still have awesome racing there. I think even as the surface gets worn, it'll still be captivating and wild and fun. But
yeah,
the reason why we don't see, so what I would say next is, why don't we see what we saw at Atlanta, this awesome race that we all loved, so many passes for the lead, just freaking lap after lap after lap, new leader. Why don't we see that at Talladega and Daytona? Why
don't we see that?
Yeah, or how come we don't see that boring we see at Daytona and Talladega at Atlanta? Like, how are they, since they are apparently the same style of racing, how come at Atlanta we get what we want at Daytona and Talladega?
Well, I know the answer to that.
Well, what's your answer?
They lift. They have to lift for the corner.
At Atlanta?
Yeah, everyone's screaming. Everyone started that race screaming loose, and
they were lifting.
You can see him backing it into the corner and having handling issues going up the track. A couple guys brushed the wall. We don't see guys brush the wall at Atlanta, or Talladega.
Daytona, yeah.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of handling issues. Like, there was a point where we were debating two tires, and Boland's really wanted to do it, and Brad was at him. He's like, "No, I want 4. I'm getting 4. This is getting because he's in the seat, and if you got drivers begging for 4 tires because they know the feeling they feel, when they're driving, that's characteristic of a good, they're having handling issues. So that makes it more exciting, more dicey. Like, you saw guys that couldn't hold the bottom. You saw guys that, obviously struggled on the top as well, but that's why you see those gaps in the middle of the corner for him, and stuff like that. And then the runs for him on the straightaways. Is he have enough to clear him? It's fun. It's exciting racing, but those drivers had their hands full, man. Like, I remember Brad telling me he could barely turn the wheel down to somebody if they got inside of him. It was hard for him to cut the wheel because he's loose. So he said that during the race.
Yeah.
And, hard to do.
So what about it is from the track is making them have to lift and have that? Is it what's on the track surface, or is it the dimensions?
I just think it's the radius of the corners. They're tighter corners than Talladega, obviously. So you have to,
at Atlanta,
when you go down to that corner, you can't make it wide open.
There are tighter corners at Atlanta. You misspoke. Start using your head, TJ.
My bad.
Get them all confused. You're going to confuse the shit out of
It's
everybody.
that salt water. It's got them all.
Yeah. Salt water's got me.
So, it is that. It is the fact that the tighter radius corner at Atlanta creates some balance issues or challenges amongst the way the cars feel and drive. And the other thing, too, is fuel. Like, for some reason, the teams race at Daytona and Talladega to minimize the time it takes them to put fuel in the car. You don't have the balance issues that TJ's talking about, so we don't feel like it's absolutely necessary to change tires every time the caution comes out, because we're not screaming to get new tires at Daytona and Talladega. There's no real bad handling issues that aren't, there is some spots you can get your car in that are bad. That's all aero. The next lap you'll go through there and be fine because the tire is not even anywhere near wearing out. So But even if you did need tires, it still takes so long to fuel the car.
Yeah.
Fueling takes far longer than changing the 4 tires. So fueling is the liability. So if fueling's a liability to winning, you have to limit how much fueling you do toward the end of the race so that your guy's on pit road the least amount in that final stop so that then you can be up toward the front. And so you race the race by packing the fuel into the car early. And so when you leave pit road, you don't need to come back down and or you can leave pit road sooner than the other guy who has to add the fuel or add more fuel at the end of the race. So, that's how they run Daytona, Talladega. They've scienced it out. Props to the teams and crew chiefs and engineers and everybody for understanding the best way to get the best result in those 2 races. And so I still think that we need to look at ways to change or eliminate that strategy at Daytona and Talladega. I think the teams will be fine with it, but they have no choice but to use what is best to win the race. But I think if you could eliminate the fuel mileage racing at Daytona and Talladega, that teams would totally embrace that. And I don't know. There's a million ways to do that, but
we were still working on fuel at Atlanta, but the amount of natural cautions and the amount of handling issues their teams are making different decisions.
Yes.
So you have a lot more variables in there as well.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, if that race played out to where the teams felt like it could go caution free, absolutely. They're starting to think about how to be the one that is in the best situation fuel wise.
Yeah.
But if Atlanta ever does sort of morph into this race where the big crashes are less common and we're having longer green flag runs, then yes, teams are going to start going, oh,
yeah. We were there when we were already there when we first started racing there.
Yeah.
And then we're getting further away from it because of the handling, because of the track, because of the tires wearing out more and handling issues becoming more of an issue. We're getting further away from the natural, okay, we got to run. We're going to pit under green here.
Somebody was arguing on social media that we should not race at Daytona and Talladega twice a year because of the product on the racetrack. And my opinion to that would be we make a lot of mistakes by leaving racetracks because the racing isn't good. And that is the wrong approach. You should make the racing better, not leave the track.
Especially those locations.
Them 2 tracks right there are quite unique and very historic. So I would propose actually making the racing so good that you're glad you go there twice a year, not stop going to the racetrack because the product isn't good. It's not the racetrack's fault. And I would say the same thing about Richmond.
Hey, TJ, I like that phone. Is it new?
Yeah, I got this awesome new phone. I've recently joined the Consumer Cellular family, and they hooked me up with a great phone and great service.
You're telling me that your phone actually works at the racetracks?
Yeah, my phone has been excellent at the racetracks, and honestly, you can't beat the Consumer Cellular service and the offers they have going right now.
I mean, that's cool, but I'm assuming that it's probably kind of expensive, right?
Yeah, that's funny. Consumer Cellular is a steal of a deal. I don't know why more people have not made this switch. Nationwide service, fraction of the price, the 2 for $60 plan, no long-term contract. I mean, it's awesome.
All right, I'm in. So how do I get this deal?
They basically have an elite pit crew on standby waiting for you to call and make the switch. It's 100% U.S.-based customer service. Takes around 20 minutes, and it'll be one of the best decisions you ever make. And now it couldn't be a better time to switch to Consumer Cellular and get $25 off with code DJD25. That's DJD25 for $25 off when you switch to Consumer Cellular. Go to consumercellular.com/DJD and use promo code DJD25.
there was also a conversation on social media about the schedule and how it's obviously in flux right now, and a lot of rumors around where we may go next year. We've talked about it on this show. San Diego is a street course. There's, is absolutely on the table. Do we go back to Mexico? Where would it be on the schedule? Is there is the race up in Canada and Montreal still a possibility? Do we, we likely don't go back to Chicago as a street course. And does that mean we go back to Chicagoland? Could you go back to Chicagoland? I know that Hocevar was goofing around over there the other day, taking pictures, and had everybody thinking, even me, that maybe NASCAR had him over there for a purpose, but I think he honestly was just curious. So with that all said, do you take Atlanta and put it as the last race of the regular season? I know that, I don't think that means you take Daytona and put it where Atlanta is. We've already went through this, where the city of Daytona, so the Daytona race was the July 4th event. Once it was moved away, the city of Daytona went, man, we like this. We don't need it to go back to that. We don't need it to go back to the way it was ever again. Because now we have two holidays. We have July 4th when we get a lot of people because it's July 4th. Then we have the race later where a lot of people come into town. We don't need them on the same date. So the city loves how things are now. So I don't know that you move Daytona back to July around the 4th, but could Daytona just move to another part of the year? I think absolutely it could. And having Atlanta as the final race of the regular season, to me, sounds like a no-brainer. What do you think?
Oh,
I mean,
I don't know.
Why?
Man, Atlanta. Oh gosh, man, that is a
between Daytona or Atlanta. What would you pick? Why would you pick
I'm taking
Daytona?
Atlanta, because Atlanta, at least you got a chance to really. I like Atlanta because you got a chance to get away from others a little bit, and you can kind of control your own destiny a little bit more at Atlanta. Even though I know the end of the race ended up with teammates helping each other, but it wasn't like, I don't know. It's still really hard for me, because if you look at some of the Atlanta races before, like if that big wreck doesn't happen, do those Penske cars control the top top two lines like they did, before?
Let me ask you this too, TJ. That's a great point. So if Atlanta is the final race of the regular season, do drivers race differently? The drivers race scared? Do we not get the action that we've gotten at Atlanta?
No, honestly, I feel like they're gonna race. There's gonna be a little bit more give and take, because nobody wants to be the guy that takes out a championship guy. I don't think you ever want to be that guy. But also, man, Atlanta opens the door for a lot of guys to have good runs and put themselves in position.
Yeah.
You see, Zane Smith was running up front, taking big runs that he would get. I thought Ty Dillon, Travis's enemy there, had a really good, solid start. He was running up in the top 10 almost all race.
Yeah.
There's guys that that can run up front more at Atlanta still. But like it always happens, though, the cream kind of rises to the top at the end of the races there. And but if I had to pick one, I think Atlanta is doable. I just like the handling issue. Like, you have a chance to get your car better, to get away from other cars. So, and you have the excitement of the draft with a big run still. But let me ask you this though: if this race ends, say, when Brad got the lead with 4 or 5 to go, nobody could get a run on him. If Alex Bowman doesn't show up and there's no change for the lead at the end of that race, because they start racing for second, which happens at plate races a lot. The guy gets out front, second and third get to racing side by side. Nobody can get through. Is this race nearly as exciting if Chase Elliott doesn't get pushed to the lead, at the end? Is it, if Brad leads the last 5 laps and there's no lead change, is it exciting still?
No, but I don't see that happening in Atlanta.
Yeah, what's the odds of that?
It ain't gonna happen.
I mean, two guys could have easily got side by side to me at the end of that race and raced each other.
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't. I'm not seeing the logic because the races at Atlanta have either been 3 wide across the finish line or absolutely having a pass on the last lap. I mean, until you give me a race at Atlanta where I see a car not get challenged with 3 laps to go.
Well, but you sat in the beginning of this show and said the racetrack's changing.
Yeah, it's not there yet. I said 2 or 3 or 4 years. You're not going to be
able to have 3 wide at the line. There's no way. I don't think you could have had a 3 wide finish on Saturday night. The way those cars were handling and the way they needed a racetrack.
I agree with you.
So I think it's going to keep trending that direction.
I agree with you, but I mean, it ain't there yet. You could put it. I'm just saying for next year. Would you put it there at the final race of the year or the final race of the regular season? I think you could do it.
I would much rather have it than Phoenix. To me, yeah, I mean, for sure. I would definitely take it for next year.
Yeah. And I think to your point, as it evolves, it doesn't need to stay there. Because yes, the racing is going to continue to change and the gaps between the cars are going to get bigger because of the handling. But that's still another minimum 2 years, probably 4 years down the road. I was told when I mentioned to Steve Letarte, man, this place has changed. We started the race, and I was like, Steve, we might be in for a little different of a show. It ended up being just what we expected. But at first I was like, I wonder if this thing's a little slicker than we think. We started hearing about all the drivers complaining about the balance, and I'm like, I was picking up on that, and I'm like, dude, this thing might be a little different than what everybody's expecting, so let's be ready for that. Mm-hmm. But then, toward the end of the stage, they got all on top of each other and could race just fine without really having big problems balance-wise. And it was not a problem, no issue, right? But you could start to see some of the old Atlanta kind of creeping back in. But I said to Steve, I was like, man, this place is going to really be back to its old self pretty soon. And he said, no, they've got a lot of downforce steel to put back into these cars. So he said they're still a long way they can go to get comfort in the car and keep them tight and pack racy before old Atlanta comes back, right?
I don't think they're as far away as what he says they are. I think a lot more are going for handling. It's been going that way, and these teams are usually pretty up on that stuff. I think people are using more downforce than what Steve thinks. They're not trimmed out. I don't think so anyway. I don't think they're as trimmed out as you could be. And I do see little bit of old Atlanta coming a little bit here. I mean, we'll never be out of the throttle like we used to be at the old Atlanta. Yeah. But the way they have to drive the cars, and these drivers are getting smarter and figuring it out where the runs, like we're managing the gaps differently in your mirror because you're trying to prevent the run on the straightaway the next lap. So you might, you're just managing stuff differently as these races go on. The drivers are learning and adjusting as the race goes.
So Reddick had an opportunity, had a big run down the front straightaway and chose to bounce off the back bumper of Brad Keselowski, who was leading. Mm-hmm. I really feel like Reddick gets out of the car and says, man, I didn't make good decisions. I have to believe that that's the one he's talking about, where if you have a run, especially in this race with the way this car is, you have to take it. He thought, I'm going to assume that he thought, oh, I'm in the right spot being behind Brad. Well, he is in the right spot being behind Brad if it's the very last lap. But he thought, man, I'm going to stay right here and hold this position. That's unrealistic because the next guy's coming by. The next, everybody that got runs is taking them. No one's going to be idle and let Reddick sort of wait for his turn, wait for this last lap to happen so where he can make his final move. He's coming down the front straightaway, and I'm like, I'm getting ready to call it. Reddick to the inside. And he ran in the back of him, and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
He messed up.
I don't think he messed up. I don't think he had enough. I don't think he had enough to clear through 1 and 2. If that was turn 3, I think he could have taken it. But he didn't have somebody. Chase got to him too late on the straightaway to give him enough of a run to clear into 1.
Yeah.
When Chase made his passes into 1, he had immediate help off of 4, and had, like on the white flag lap, Chase was getting pushed 3/4 of the way down the straightaway. Chase got to the back of Reddick right at the flag stand or after, and Chase has to let him go as soon as they come out of the second dog leg to get down to the corner. And I just don't think Tyler, if that was turn 3, I think he can do it, because you can wash the guy up easier in 3 and 4. In turn 1,
I understand what you mean. I still think he has to take the run.
You gotta try it, right?
Well, if he doesn't take the run, and then he bounced off the back bumper of Brad, his car has lost all the momentum. He's now vulnerable to everyone behind him, which he was gobbled up, and someone else drove around him and won the race. So does he pass and clear? Maybe, maybe not. But he has to take the run. You have to. And he can run Brad up the racetrack, side draft his best down the back straightaway, hope to get saved if he's not clear and he's stuck on the inside, hope that he gets saved down the back straightaway or is still in a position into turn 3 to be battling up front. I know it's not a given, TJ, that the pass clears and he's going to go on and win the race, but I think that he has a better chance at winning the race by taking that run instead of just deciding. I think I'll just push Brad and stay in second. Chase Elliott, with a lot of help from his teammate Bowman, was able to get the win. Big win for Chase in Georgia. Got a tweet from Atlanta Braves of congratulations. That's a big deal. Yeah, that had to make Chase feel pretty good. The pool hall rang the siren. Now the pool hall will tell you that it's a siren. Now I want to be educated on this because I would always have called it the siren. Like, yeah, you ring, the siren at the fire department or whatever, right? Or the siren of the police car, whatever, right? It's a siren. What is the actual proper? I never even heard of a siren. Where does that even come from?
I mean, it probably comes from Wilkesboro.
Well, no. I mean, this is Georgia we're talking about. Dawsonville. So, but they're adamant that you call it a siren. But either way, and I think Alex Bowman. Steve pointed this out at the end of the race. Alex had a real shot at winning the race, but he got taken 3 wide by Chase Elliott down the front straightaway. Chase took every run, even against his teammates. And
imagine if Alex took a run at Chase on 50 there.
He should have.
Well, he never got the opportunity to.
No, he didn't. So this is the thing, man. When the racing at Atlanta was. I think I would be good at that because you can get away with being selfish and not get in trouble, not get nobody cussing at you at the end of the race. Your owner's not mad at you. Your other, the other crew chiefs and other teammates aren't mad at you, because to be good at Atlanta and the style of the racing, you have to be selfish. You have to make it about you. You have to take every run, even against your teammates. You have to do everything you can to be that leading teammate. Because if it comes down to it and we're on the last lap and the 48's in front of the 9, then the 9's kind of in a position where he kind of has to help the 48. Same way that 17 of Chris Buescher was in that sort of the same spot with Brad late in the race. He's like, if it's not Brad Keselowski in front of him, he's probably not helping him. He's probably taking some of these runs to go around him, but he's sitting there going, well, I can't do this to my teammate owner. And so, it's a tough spot to be in. I think Alex, Chase is like, I like Alex, but yeah, I'm going to go win this damn race. And that's what he thought since the green flag dropped. And you could see him. He took Alex 3 wide more than once in that race.
So let me ask you this. What's Alex's best chance to win that race on the white flag lap, in your opinion?
He doesn't have one.
What's the best? Like, if something were to happen, what can he do to maybe create a situation that he can win the race?
Chase is pushed clear, and I guess if disregard the fact that Chase is his teammate. I think his best shot would have been able to maybe push the 9 up there and get those guys side by side. And
You mean the 6th?
I'm sorry, the 6th. So he could push Brad up there, and maybe they get the Brad and the 9 get side by side and choke each other down because they're gonna side draft the out of each other. Right?
Oh, they're gonna race into 3 hard, and you don't know what's gonna happen there.
Yep, and that's the 48's chance.
But okay, if you're talking about these drivers being selfish, if that's Alex's best chance, why doesn't he be selfish? I mean, Chase was selfish when he passed him.
He wasn't. He's not selfish.
I mean, to me, I get why he did it, but to me, if I want to win that race, I'm going to shove the car in front of me and try to get that. I'm going to try to create a bad situation in front of me. So Alex pretty much sacrificed all his chances of winning the race off of 2 when he pulled out to pass.
That's right.
So,
but
I don't know if Alex gets the same. I don't know if Alex gets the same treatment.
You're probably right. I don't know if he does either, but Alex also is in a tough spot.
He is, yeah.
Career wise, he needs, if he had won 4 races this year, maybe he does that. He pushes that 6 forward and says, "That's my best shot. I'm gonna go give you another win." But he's gotta think about, all right, what kind of a position am I in long term?
So what boosts Alex up the charts? Does a win boost Alex up the chart, or pushing a teammate to a win up the chart? What's more important for Alex?
I think you got to ask yourself which one's more probable. Is the chance that I push this 6 into a situation where he battles the 9 and I win, that's a high risk shot.
Yeah. I think it's probably 80 to 90% chance that Brad clears Chase with a push from Alex in the 3.
Yeah.
But there's also that 1 out of 10 that they get together and Alex wins the race.
Yeah, but it was a 100% chance that he would get the attaboy for helping Chase win the race.
That's the other thing is
does attaboy get you a contract?
Okay, but Rick Hendrick's how Rick Hendrick views Alex Bowman and how we view him is probably different. And he's going, I've got a driver here that does what I need for my franchise. The sponsors love him. He does everything the right way. Yeah. I'm going to treat him a little different than me as an owner. I'm going, I want you to go win, but I'm not Rick Hendrick.
Not at the risk of hurting us both.
Yeah.
If he pushes the 6 to victory, oh boy.
I would not want to be Alex. Yeah,
he's basically chiseled his name on the tombstone. Yeah. So I can't blame Alex for being the way he was at the end of that race. And honestly, man, if I'm his owner, I say, look, you did the right thing. I know you want to win races, but in that scenario, I want you to help us win, and he did. And so he did the right thing. I think that it's just such a tough spot to be in because Chase can be Chase. Chase can go out there and be selfish and do what he wants for himself, and he should. Alex isn't really afforded that same leeway because he's not won enough races to or a championship for.
Still a little bit unfair.
They've won the same amount of races, honestly, kind of in the last couple of years. But Chase is most popular driver and also the champion, and Chase is proven he's got long-term equity built up in that team. Alex does too, but
Alex is a good teammate.
Yeah, but it's no different than Busher and Brad in that one scenario.
Yeah,
late in the race where Busher was kind of like, crap, I don't want to be in this spot, but here I am, so I kind of got to help Brad, and that's not doing him
you go
anything.
back. You go back to Daytona. Brad pushed Chris to victory at Daytona a couple years ago.
I hear you, and what Chris did in that moment is absolutely part of why Brad was in position to win the race late. Mm-hmm. But where was Chris at? That's just the kind of tough part about this style of racing. Is when that's why I was like, hey man, at the end of the race, you got to be the lead teammate. You got to be Brad or Chase. You can't be Alex or Chris. You got to find, if you're Alex and Chris and it's 10 to go, you should be looking around going, how in the hell do I get in front of the 6 or the 9? Because that's my only shot to win, because I need to be in front of those guys so that they're forced to be the teammate that helps me. And that was the way it was at DEI, man. We'd be running those races, and, the 15 would be leading at some points, or I would be leading at some points, but we kind of both knew, like, when we get inside of 20 to go, I don't want to be pushing him, because that means I'm probably got to stay. I got to stay committed to it.
So I got a question. If the winner is not Chase, and the winner is whoever, pick any other car out there, did the fans get robbed of a finish? Maybe a better finish they deserved into 3.
No, I don't think so.
Because if it's any other car than Bowman behind the 6, he pushes him, and we have this high pressure moment into 3. Who's going to do what? Are they going to make it out? We never got that opportunity.
Both are great races. I'm not going to complain in a world where
it was a good race.
Yeah, I still think it gets a 90%er from Jeff Gluck either way.
I mean, it was definitely.
Are you trying to say
race.
that the good race poll was influenced by the winner?
No, never.
Yeah, why would it ever do that?
Y'all really? So
yes,
it's absolutely influenced by the winner.
Go see when
100%.
Denny wins. It's less than if Chase wins.
Well, that's natural.
Yeah, I mean, it's Denny.
But that's what I'm saying, though. It goes both ways.
Well, I mean, Chase or I would say if Chase wins, I could put 12 other drivers in winner's circle and the poll would be the same.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
No way.
Man,
no
Chase,
way.
I think I heard that it ain't quite as clear, and I've heard that the gap's closed a little bit.
On what?
In like where Chase is and where other drivers are.
He hadn't won in 44 races. I don't know. Like,
well,
it's been
a little bit. But dude, you hear the crowd there when they listen to driver intros. I mean, good Lord, the place goes crazy when they introduce Chase there.
That's his home track, TJ.
Yeah, and hence why it's over 90% too.
No, you think that was all Atlanta people voting?
I think it has a lot to do with it.
I don't think it's that big of an influence as you think.
I think Chase Elliott's name on anything's a big influence.
Not like it was 6 years ago.
Not like it was 6 years ago. It was a good race, but I do think the poll is aided by who wins the race.
Yeah, like didn't they just come out with a thing that says Larson sold more souvenirs this year? Or
I don't know.
He's like number one. He's number one on the list. They put out a list of souvenir sales, and I think Dad's 8th, and I'm 9th, and Justin Allgaier's 7th. It was funny. NASCAR put themselves at number 1 because they basically claim to be on every item sold. So they're like, well, we're number 1 because we're on every item. But
Chase was 2. So like, and Kyle's 1, Chase is 2 on the. Okay, it's not like he's 10th.
So
I'm just
all
saying,
that says is that if Kyle Larson wins the race, it's going to be a high percentage poll that way as well.
You think so?
I think if Joey Logano wins that race, it's probably low 80s, high 70s.
Now, I mean, Joey's not hated, but he's not exactly the most popular guy.
I think you put him and Denny in the same bracket.
Yes, I would too. But I still say that I could take Chase out of victory lane and put 10, 12 other guys in victory lane, and I get a 90%er.
I don't know if it's that many. I think
I would not.
5 to 6.
I would not
maybe.
put Logano and Denny in that 12.
No,
of course.
I think Chase and like the higher they are on the souvenir sales, the popular they are, the higher that poll is going to be, in my opinion. Whether it's 5%, 7%, 10%, I don't know, but I do think it.
I would say a Larson or Chase win influences the good race poll by less than 5%.
I mean, I really don't know what it might be. 5, it might be 4, it might be 11. I don't know, but I know it influences it.
I think 5's a fair number.
Yeah.
Well, that's more than he was willing to admit a few minutes ago because he didn't think it influenced it at all.
5 or less.
TJ, when
I go 5 or more.
TJ, when you saw that run coming and Brad didn't have a Ford, what's going through your mind there? Is basically he's done for?
I knew Chase's run when I saw them get together when I saw the 48 clear the 45 and 4, I was like, that's not what we need.
Yeah.
And that run's unstoppable. I mean, you couldn't stop it, but the best thing you can do at that point is regroup and try to get a run for 3.
Regroup and get your ready for Chicago.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, whenever I saw Bowman coming up behind Brad, I'm like, yeah, I even told Brad on the radio, he's not going to push you. And like a couple seconds later, I'm like, oh, inside, of course. Like, I think I might even have said something like that. But I mean, I don't know. When I looked back there and saw the 40, I'm like, anybody. But if it would have been Reddick behind us, Reddick would have absolutely shoved Brad as good as he could have. And that was our chance right there. But man, that's just part of how things time out. Sometimes you're leading the race and cautions come out and you get the win. Sometimes they get to racing behind you and you don't even get a shot at someone passing you. And sometimes they get runs that time out just right and it works out.
That's right. Let's talk about the bracket. A lot's been made of this bracket.
Travis's favorite driver got knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got beat.
Denny got knocked out. So there are 16 drivers remaining in the bracket. Chase Elliott is the only driver left in the bracket with a win.
Yep. Jesus Christ.
All right, let's go through these names. Dylan Kozlowski Bowman, Bubba Wallace, Nemechek, Elliott, Jones, Stenhouse, Gregson, Priest, Hocevar, Reddick, Allmendinger, Gibbs, Smith,
what a group.
Busher.
Oof.
Zane
Murder's
versus
row.
Busher. So if you looked at the names, yes. See, I came in here with the attitude that the bracket was fine, the races, where the races are was fine, but I can look at this list of names and the matchups for Chicago and go, okay, maybe Atlanta wasn't the best idea. Well, first off, let's not talk about Atlanta just yet.
Why is it not a good idea, though?
Well, let's wait. I'm gonna let you do this.
Oh,
I'm gonna let you get there.
Up.
I know.
Jeez.
Hang on to it. Let's start just with the bracket alone, TJ. There's people out there that think the bracket's stupid.
Well, good for them. They don't have to follow it.
Yeah, but I mean, why would you? I don't understand why you would go, oh, this is dumb. We ain't we ain't college basketball.
Yeah. I mean, some people are diehards and they don't like it, but
We
did this. We created this bracket. Denny Hamlin, come on, Denny bros. Hamlin,
give Denny some credit.
Denny Hamlin created this idea and said, "Man, this will be fun. We do something," and we did it. We put it on a website. All of the people that follow Dirty Mo Media, we had like 20,000 people sign up, do it.
Did it for 2 years.
It's fun as hell.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? NASCAR took the idea, carbon copy, and, well, carbon copy enough that I think Denny ought to be like, hey, man. Yeah. But, I mean, they're already in court. Why not? Just kind of
Give you my bracket. Give you my bracket for a charter.
Yeah, tack that one on to the end.
Trade your bracket for a charter.
So the bracket's cool. I mean, if you're not into it, just don't even say nothing.
You don't have to follow it.
Yeah,
who cares?
Just don't even say.
It doesn't change your life.
Just enjoy what you enjoy about racing, NASCAR, and don't worry about it. But it's fun. I think it's fun as hell. And so, like me and Steve and Adam and the guys in the booth, everybody, we're all genuinely like, yeah, man, I've made the right decision. I picked Busher. Hell yeah, he's still alive. And he's going up against Zane Smith in Chicago. Man, I feel pretty good about that one. And then I assume he's going to have to go up against one of the two, Gibbs and Allmendinger.
Yeah.
And then that gets a little tougher for me at Sonoma. But I still feel pretty good about it because Busher's ran well there. This is fun. We need a little something right here in the dog days of summer that
just extra.
It's extra. It's like a little side game.
Yeah.
I'm not asking everybody to embrace the bracket, but it is going to be fun. I hope NASCAR continues to do it. It's $1 million, which is a lot of money. It's life-changing for a lot of drivers in the field. A guy like Denny Hamlin or somebody like that might not feel like it is a it's still a cool prize, but for most
I've heard some of the drivers say they were going to divvy it up and stuff and give back and stuff. So,
well, look, for most of the drivers, it's a big deal
for sure.
And it's been fun listening to some of them actually describe
talk a little trash.
actually talk about how much they're enjoying it. So
yeah,
that's why I like Atlanta as the start for this. Actually,
that's another question. Like the tracks, I don't really give and listen, the whole thing is only for enjoyment and entertainment. This is absolutely not anything that needs to be too serious. Like, we don't need to worry about, like, oh man, what track should be in it? Oh, this is a bad idea. Yes, everybody's bracket got blown to shit. Mine too. I didn't get a lot of things right. My guys, my overall's still alive. That's really all that matters, I think, at this point. So I kind of like the fact that the bracket that the races are that unpredictable.
Yeah. Not easy.
They're not easy. So
it should be easy. Just like the tournament in college, like the NCAA tournament. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So there's upsets. And I think Atlanta's perfect for it because Atlanta gives the opportunity for upsets.
The only thing I would change about the bracket that is wrong is they just should seed the drivers by the way they earn points. Don't worry about these. So they tried to seed the drivers in 3 races, I believe, that were the back end of the Amazon deal. And Amazon didn't really care about that.
They didn't need to.
Well, we didn't talk about it. It wasn't like, so I think it was done. I think NASCAR chose to say, hey, let's seed the races in the Amazon portion of the season so that they could then drum up the excitement of the tournament as it plays out for TNT. But Amazon was like, even us, the talent, we're like, we're not talking about that. I mean, there's nothing to, so what? They're seeding the drivers. We're not going to sit there and go, ooh, it really matters where they finish because of the seeding for this tournament. We're not going to do it. It wasn't a story. And so they could just get rid of that. It's not important. And just say, hey, we're going to do the tournament. It's going to be in these 5 races next year. They'll be seeded by how they are in points. Simple enough. And then that would be, at least probably that would be more important than really where they run the first race, right? So if it's Atlanta, it's Atlanta. I'd go through this again. That was fun. It was it wasn't top of mind in Atlanta because there were so many brackets battling for position. We really couldn't get into it. But I was also always watching where Chris Buescher was. So whoever you pick to win, it really mattered to you that he moved forward of the other, the 16 brackets, right? Or however many brackets there were. So
on the other side of it, from the team side of it, I never thought about it during the race at all myself. Like I never looked at who we were competing against, whatever.
Right.
You're just trying to win the race. I can see though that like if some guys had some trouble, you're going to obviously try to get your car fixed and go back out. But you're also at that point, you're probably looking to see where your matchup's at. But I never, when you're trying to win, when you're running competitively, man, you're just trying to win the race.
That's right. Chase Elliott here, the winner in Atlanta. Chase, awesome race, great, great finish, great energy, great excitement. Everybody seemed to really enjoy it. I want to ask you, from the start of the green flag, I don't know what it was, man, but it looked like you were just taking every run you could take. You put everybody 3 wide several times down the front straightaway. I don't know, man. I mean, I know you can't really do those kind of things at any other racetrack, even Daytona and Talladega, and you're kind of restricted on how hard you can run at Daytona and Talladega. But what was the mindset going into that race? Because it looked like you were just on attack all night long.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've tried to be that way at more than just Atlanta. I think that the tough part is, and something that I definitely struggle with in this car is sometimes even at Daytona and Talladega, not taking the run is the smartest play that you can make. And I thought that was the cool thing about Atlanta was it wasn't a death sentence to go 3 wide bottom and it not work. Like, okay, I'll fall back in line here in a minute and I'll get another shot at it. And if it works, then great, you got 2 for 1. But that's just not normally the case. Even at some of the 1.5 or 2 mile tracks that we go to, it doesn't always work. It looks pretty and sexy when you go 3 wide bottom, getting into 1 on a restart. But okay, guess what? Nobody goes with you, and now you've lost 4 rows, and you look like an idiot. So it's, I think, probably more a product of just the way the racetrack was racing, and the fact that you weren't signing yourself up for a death sentence if one of those big, bold moves didn't totally go your way.
You seemed a bit surprised when you got out of the car that you were able to pull it off. Was there a moment, I guess, in the last 5 laps where you thought, crap, I'm not in the right spot?
Oh, for sure. I mean, eighth with what, 7 to go or whatever it was. I mean, I was doing the math and it wasn't quite mathing at that juncture. And then also too, I was looking around and hell, I don't think there was anybody in the top 15 that had won a race.
Right.
So I'm like, boy, we're getting down. We're also not mathing there either. We're going to run out of spots. So yeah, just somehow, some way, I think it was almost kind of a blessing, just because you could not hold the lead. I mean, I don't care who you were. You could not hold the lead. I tried every which way I knew how to try to maintain and control lanes. And you might can do it, but I certainly couldn't figure it out. So I think just the runs timed up perfect. Got 2 for 1 there, getting into 1. Alex gave me a couple great shoves, one by the 45, and then, obviously one by Brad there getting into 1. And, fortunately it was good enough.
What has the conversation with Alex been, since the race is over?
Yeah. Obviously I appreciate his, respect in those situations but honestly, very normal. I feel like Alex and I have always shared a lot of respect on the racetrack and moments where, teammates become crucial, whether the shoe's on the other foot or if it's on my side. But yeah, I think, as as a racer, you log those things, you document those things. And when people show you a sign of respect on the racetrack, honestly, no words need to be said. I understand the positioning and, I recognize it, appreciate it, and intend to make sure I do my part when the opportunity presents itself, and it will. It will for sure.
I know that a lot of drivers, yourself included, weren't going to have a second thought about the bracket challenge, especially going into a track like Atlanta. But now that you're through that track and you can look at Chicago, Sonoma, Dover, Indy, and understand, what style of racing you'll see there, how competitive you feel you might be, who you're up against. We're whittling this down quickly. And it's $1 million, sitting out there. At what point, I guess, will you start to go, I might like to win this? Or has that already happened?
No, I would have liked, my mindset of wanting to win was already there. Yeah. Even going into the race last weekend, and it's kind of one of those things where, at least my viewpoint on it is, it's not that I didn't want to win it. It's just that it's not going to make me try any harder than I'm already trying. So sure. I want that to be super clear. Like, I'm already doing everything I can do every week that, in my power and in, within my abilities to perform my very best for my team. That's the whole reason I go. So, I don't need another, factor to help make me want to perform. That's just not how I am. But of course I want to win it. Yeah. I mean, $1 million or not $1 million, I still want to win it. And, I feel like we have a real shot to do that. And we're going to race hard over I don't know how many more weeks are in that deal, but however many it takes, and hopefully we're, the last one standing.
Yeah, I think you're up against Nemechek this weekend. If you actually prevail, I believe you would face either Stenhouse or Eric Jones at Sonoma. So it's a reasonable path forward to be able to find yourself in the semis at Dover. I think that, you've had a really solid year this year. We've talked about that quite a bit in the past couple of weeks at the consistency, which is really, you've done it better than anybody this year, and now you have the win. Do you feel like, I guess, that you guys are where you want to be? Are you feeling overlooked because of your consistency? Your average finish is better than anybody else. So, I mean, as far as performance across the board, you guys are at the top of the game. But where do you feel like you are?
Well, number one, I don't necessarily care if we are overlooked or not. We as a team and myself individually, man, we've just been doing this long enough to know, like, it all kind of starts and ends with us, and we have to make sure we're doing our part, and I'm doing my part, and just bringing everything I can possibly bring every single week. And we know our strengths and we know our weaknesses, and it's the honest conversations that we have on Monday mornings that are either going to make us better or make us fail, right? And, I just think that our group we've been together a long time. We know each other really, really well. I think all of the pieces of the puzzle are there from a team side. I think I can do it. I feel like we're working on the right things. I think I'm asking for the right things out of the car. And I think that the team's been doing a really good job of giving me what I'm looking for in a feel. And so I'm proud of where we're at. I'm really proud of our team for just sticking together. I think there's been so many times that we could have thrown in the towel and really kind of fractured from the inside. And it's a really important thing for me to now have climbed that mountain and stood on top of it with AG. And we've kind of fallen off that hill, but getting back to the top with him and with our group and doing it together with the same people you've had success and failed with, I think is a really important thing to do in sports. When it's easy to kind of look the other way, just not giving up on one another, I think is a really important piece. And we have so much respect for one another as a team that we're going to continue to make each other better as we push forward.
Well, man, we appreciate your time today. Congratulations on the win. Going to be fun watching y'all go forward and try to carry this momentum that you got going the next several weeks. And, we'll see you at Chicago.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Congrats. See you, man.
Whether you've got one shelf or a whole wall dedicated to NASCAR diecast, there's always room for more. And nobody brings the excitement to the track and to your collection like Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR. From the legendary rides like the number 3 Goodwrench car to the paint schemes of today's hottest stars like Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain, Lionel Racing diecasts are built for true fans. Every car is authentically detailed, and most are available in both 124 and 164 scales. Whether you're after race wins, special finishes, autographed pieces, or the elite premier editions, Lionel has you covered. And right now, for a limited time, fans of the Dale Jr. Download can get free U.S. shipping on their next order at LionelRacing.com. Just use the promo code DJD25. That's promo code DJD25 at LionelRacing.com. Xfinity Wi-Fi is sponsoring this segment of Ask Junior, as they do most every week. Xfinity Wi-Fi is actually what we're using right now to send all this stuff your way so you can stay connected. It's booming. You'll hear the drivers talk about how Xfinity Wi-Fi is booming, especially in the Xfinity series. The drivers love getting out of the car and talking about Xfinity Mobile, Xfinity Wi-Fi. and all of the great services that Xfinity provides. It's got the power and speed of NASCAR right in your home. You choose the right plan for you, and you're off to the races with the best streaming experience for all NASCAR fans and all of your favorite sports. They don't just raise the bar, they stream in overdrive, and they're a proud premier partner in NASCAR, and we're very thankful to have them here as part of the Dirty Mo Media family. So thank you, Xfinity, for everything you do. Let's get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. The YouTube chat is populating. It's good to see everybody.
Booming.
It's booming. That's the word, TJ. But lots of familiar faces. That's good to see. But let's go to this first question from Barry. Jerry, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Travis. Bruckheimer. He confirms that a Days of Thunder sequel is in the works. So what would you like the second movie to be about?
I keep seeing little, quotes and stuff of people, like even Tom Cruise, doing a little, he had like a little post about Days of Thunder and his experience making that movie. And Jeff Gordon's had a couple comments like, hey, if they ever do it, we'd love to be involved. I think that,
is there a spotter role? Can I be a spotter in it?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
probably, I don't.
You can be in it. You'll drive. I'll spot. Like old times,
TJ,
man.
we want people to watch it. Sorry.
I have a face for radio, Andrew. It's perfect.
Well, I would absolutely, the more of the original cast members, the better. And I'll say this. So this is very similar, I think, to like the Rocky series and the remakes for Rocky, right? But eventually Rocky is too old to fight. And then they had to shift to this Creed, right? That was difficult for me, just as somebody who had watched all the originals and the whole thing, 1, 2, 3, and 4 and all that. I would need Tom Cruise to still be racing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Tom Cruise not in a race car for the entire movie doesn't work for me, right? So he can't be an owner. Now, I think Rowdy Burns could be an owner. I could see Rowdy Burns at this point in the storyline. He's aged out, no longer driving, and he's now maybe some owner in the sport. But I would bring back all the original cast members and have them at least make a brief appearance in the movie, if not have heavy roles. Russ Wheeler character, I would love it if he was still racing. I don't know really where he's at and what he looks like these days, but if he's taking good care of himself, I think you could pass him off as a veteran driver. And I feel like we're going to have to accept some younger cast members that will
no choice.
Yeah.
There's no choice.
Yeah.
There's going to be this young driver that it's very similar to what we're seeing in the F1 movie where you had the old guard and the new guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see any way around that. But that'll be a part that either makes or breaks the movie, right? And so that star outside, the person that's probably the most important to the storyline outside of Tom Cruise, getting that cast correctly and having the right person in that role that's believable and truly will do the work that like Tom Cruise has done to understand NASCAR. So I've told the story before, but Tom Cruise came by Dale Earnhardt Incorporated back when it was just the Deerhead shop. So we had
Really?
Wow.
Yep. They had the Deerhead shop and one office, and there was nothing else there. This was way before Dad built DEI. So it's just a building with the Xfinity team in there. I was really young, and this was before they had ever started shooting Days of Thunder. And so I must have been 12 or so, pretty young. Well, we're told, so Tom Cruise just finished Risky Business, maybe? What's the movie where he's where he slides across the floor and
that's it.
Right?
Hey, Travis, dude, you look at who you're talking to over there. They're not going to know.
I know what it is.
So they
whatever.
that he was still like on the back end of the success of that movie. And Dad told Kelly and I that that this actor Tom Cruise was coming by later in the afternoon to talk to Dad. And so it was Dad and maybe Teresa and me and Kelly and the people the 4 or 5 employees that worked at the shop, Tony Sr. No, not a crowd, just a couple of us there. Well, Tom drives up. He was with someone else. They get out of the car. They walk in. Tom Cruise is not as tall as I expected him to be. And he's got
not as tall as them cardboard cutouts either.
He's got a face. He's got a face full of pimples. Wow. And yeah, and he and Dad. He's really young at this point, but he and Dad go into Dad's office and they talked for like an hour and a half, long time. Mm-hmm. And then they come out, shook hands. Hey man, great time. I got to say hey to Tom Cruise, and he leaves. And so Tom Cruise basically came by to sit down and talk to Dad because Dad's character was Rowdy Burns.
Right.
And they used a lot of the sort of, the same vibe, I guess, of Dad to do the Rowdy Burns character. And Dad even said after that conversation that in the conversation with Tom Cruise, Tom mentioned that Dad should play the role. And and Dad was like, the way this sounds is he's the bad guy and I really don't want to be the villain. That's not my style. And Dad is not an actor. And that would have not been as good as what the end result was, right? So I remember vividly Dad saying that they had a conversation around the possibility of him actually playing the role, but I don't think that that's absolutely realistic, to be honest with you.
You don't think he could have done it?
No, and I don't think even if Tom had offered it to him or mentioned it in that conversation that it would have actually happened if Dad had said yes, because I think that the people that actually produce and direct and make all those decisions would have had a problem with that because Dad's not an actor. But anyhow, Tom came there and just picked Dad's brain. Tom drove race cars, went to Daytona and drove a race car in a test with Paul Newman. And so Tom did all, as we know now, after hearing all the stories about Mission Impossibles and Top Guns, he does all the stunts, all the hard work, all the homework, right, to truly make the movie great.
That's why he's so good.
Yeah, and like I'm confident that if they make Days of Thunder again, it'll be a great representation of really where the sport is and how it is because he will do the homework to go, this is authentic. This moment is authentic. This set's authentic. This scene is authentic. So like when Tom Cruise played Cole Trickle, like it was believable. He, to me, was any Cup driver in the series in the 90s. Like he played that part so well. His style, his look,
he did,
the way he
attitude,
spoke,
everything.
his attitude. What's so funny?
Someone in the chat said Tom Cruise to the JRM number 9 ?
Oh Jesus! Well, yeah. Anyhow, that was a cool deal, man. As a kid to see your favorite sport that you thought that no one cared about or liked. Everybody at school thought NASCAR was stupid. All my friends, not my friends, but all the people that I was in school with didn't like NASCAR, thought it was dumb. Now they're making this big movie.
Same here.
I was like, hell yes. And then they came out with the Nintendo game Days of Thunder. It was sucky, but I still played the out of it. Man, that was a big deal.
Does this help? A movie like that, if Tom Cruise done correctly, does it boost NASCAR?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Does it bring interest in the movie theaters? People are like, you know what, this is actually pretty cool. I'm getting it. Because all the friends, like you said, in high school that weren't into NASCAR, they go to a race and are like,
All the
I
people,
can't believe I haven't went before.
Right.
all the people in LA will be walking around with NASCAR hats on, like they were after Talladega Nights
Right.
for about
Yeah.
6 months, and they'll be saying, "Hey man, when do the NASCARs come to town?
With the NAS.
Hey man,
Gosh.
hey man, I watched the NASCARs this weekend." And we'll get to go through all that again.
Some things never change.
Yeah.
It could bring a good young fan base in, though. You know,
You-
some kids go.
That's what.
In case you are not aware, you cannot call a NASCAR stock car just strictly a NASCAR. You can't.
I
That
agree.
is not how it's done. You can't walk over and go, "Hey man, I was at the grocery store and they had a show car. They had a NASCAR out front."
Yeah, you don't know your stuff.
Yeah, nope. You can't call them. It's not. That's not what you do. It's a NASCAR stock car, or just call it a
Yeah.
race car.
Yeah,
A
Those NASCARs go green on Sunday.
right. Or cup car, Xfinity car, truck.
Yeah,
It might
Yeah.
say car in it, but it doesn't mean that's the car.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, we just got lucky
It's all
that that's the acronym.
Every now
know?
and then you hear. Yeah, I know, right? Every now and then you'll hear somebody do that, and you're like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Cringe.
I want to mention a few YouTube comments. Jimmy, to your point, Dale, of Tom Cruise still being able to drive, Jimmy in the YouTube chat said Tom Cruise doesn't age, so he could very likely still play the part. I mean, we just saw it in the Mission Impossible movies. He's still got it. But, oh gosh, I'm missing the name. I think it was Jared, because you mentioned, Tom asked if your dad wanted to play a role in the movie. Would you, if asked, do a cameo in the Days of Thunder 2?
No question. Yes, that's an automatic yes. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
I mean, I would certainly like.
Walker, that was their name. Sorry.
Yeah, I would
Perfect.
damn sure be interested in doing that. And I think that's the way that anybody feels in the industry, right? If you're a current driver, you'd absolutely want an opportunity to be a part of that. So
Maybe you can be a driver in it, and then I'll be the spotter, and Tom will get into you and wreck you or something.
TJ's just trying to find a way to get in the movie.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
be the spotter.
And then we talk about how you got wrecked by Tom Cruise on the movie version of the Dale Jr.
Yeah,
Download.
there we go.
Yeah, so that
Well,
we
this-
can be in it too.
this movie, if ever made, will, and I'm putting my neck out there, but this movie, if ever made, will need at some point in the movie some broadcasting chops. And so there'll be a lot of people eager to find out whether they're the ones that get called up for that. So, I don't know. I would do anything they ask me to do to try to support it, and
For
because
sure, make it authentic.
yeah,
That'd
but
be
because
cool.
I feel like it's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I want to get some more YouTube comments. There are some great questions people submitted, but I'm seeing some great ones here in the YouTube chat. I want to give the people watching live some love. But William wants to know, how funny was the Ty Dillon comment at the end of the race that I beat your favorite driver? To the
that,
Denny
Travis.
fans.
Travis, what do you think?
Denny Bros, he is
We've been
today.
hammering Travis about this, and Travis refuses to agree.
Travis
that
has
he
been
is.
on social media,
Yeah,
being a bit aggressive out there in the social media landscape.
he's like he's fighting Denny's battles for
yeah,
him.
he's fighting Denny's battles, going after the haters.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a clever comment by Ty Dillon.
Why wouldn't you do it? It got it.
I think
that
that
was
Ty
perfect.
Dillon. Hey, see, that's what this we got to thank this bracket challenge for those little kind of moments, because Ty Dillon has been the underdog for the entire week, right?
Yeah.
Every team meeting they've been in, every conversation he's had with his wife or his grandfather or whatever, right? That quote that he gave us was probably given to him midweek in conversation, right?
It was
Yeah,
planned.
if this happens,
Yeah.
I bet
Yeah.
you. Oh yeah, I bet you his crew chief, car chief, somebody said something to him and goes, "Hey man, you ought to say such and such when you knock him out of the bracket." And he's like, "Perfect, plug that, file that away."
yeah,
Gets out of the car. Bah. Yeah, there you go. But that doesn't happen if he doesn't know that he's in this bracket challenge, and the bracket challenge doesn't exist. So,
that clip does not exist if this bracket isn't there.
and we don't get to give the Denny Bros some and
About
we
it.
don't get to watch Denny Bros lose their minds on social
He
media.
gets really defensive really quick.
Yeah.
I'm just having
Look
some
at-
fun.
He's quiet. He's
Oh,
quiet.
now he's just having some fun.
I'm
He
just
was
doesn't
telling us
bother him,
yesterday.
really.
TJ acts like I got like I'm not mad about it. Like,
He was telling us yesterday. It doesn't bother me.
It doesn't.
bother me. I'm not bothered. I
like well
slept
done,
fine.
Ty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Yep. Okay, Trav.
It doesn't like it's not like Ohio State loss. Like I get over like I was
Okay,
over
Trav.
it immediately.
Does Denny
So
always
you
call
rank,
you Trav?
you rank Denny and your fandom for Denny below Ohio State.
Oh, it's not even close.
Oh man.
Like Ohio State
Did you hear
loses.
me, Travis?
What'd you say?
Does Denny always call you Trav?
Yeah. Yeah, like Ohio State loses or has a bad game and it ruins like my week. Denny wrecks and I'm over it in 10 minutes.
10 days.
I felt pretty neutral
Is
about
that
the whole thing.
Is that standard for Denny Bro protocol?
Yeah. Do y'all meet about it real quick and get it out? You know, like
I've well some of the Denny Bros
There's
take
a lot
a
of
little
tears
harder,
at
but it
first.
just it you know,
Yeah.
as the president, I've got to make
You're a-
sure that I'm there for
You're a
him.
veteran Denny
oh, you're the
Bro, so
president.
you- yeah,
oh, you're
you've
the
had-
president of Denny Bros.
I mean,
okay.
All right, let's move on.
This next question is coming from Joseph on the YouTube chat. What is your favorite Hell Let Loose map?
Jeez.
Oh, the beach, man. How does it?
No, I don't.
That's so hard.
No.
Oh, did I tell you? Over when I was recovering, I watched. Was it Band of Brothers or something? And man, I'd have never watched it before. And all the towns, like I knew all the towns from playing. I didn't know that
For sure.
Like it was kind of cool. But yeah, there's some good towns, man.
My favorite maps are always going to be the ones where it's very dense in terms of buildings and so forth. I despise the desert maps.
Yeah,
I despise them. I do not like playing any of the desert maps or like this. I guess it's I don't know exactly what the actual towns are, what they were
I
kind
like
of
the
based
snow
off
map.
of.
The snow map, like
Yes,
Foy.
Foy's good.
Foy?
Foy would be the great example of sort of. I know there's a lot of pasture and so forth, but there's some there's some dense areas to hang out. What?
Freddie Kraft has joined the chat.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
he said Denny is great. So
Yeah.
Of course he did.
yeah, well, it's the end of the month, so his paycheck's coming in, so he's got to get his quota. It's like a police officer pulling people over.
Yep. All right.
We got time for one more question. This one's from Lee. What was it like driving Dwight Howard around the track?
Great. What you didn't get to see, I guess, is Malik Nabers. Got to take him around too. He was a rookie
dang,
last year.
really?
Yeah, he was a rookie last year for the Giants wide receiver. Great friend of Jaden Daniels, so kind of cool to be able to chat with him a little bit about his career and their friendship and what he's going to do this next season. Hopefully, he doesn't beat the Commanders. But
Great rookie.
with TNT, we're doing a lot of social content. So we're going to do some. I think we'll do 5 ride arounds over the next couple of weeks, and yeah. So that's.
Who you got lined up? Can you tell?
I don't know. We don't have the next several. We don't have the next ones lined up, but that was the 2 they brought to Atlanta. So TNT and Bleacher Report are connected. They're the same, and so like a lot of the stuff we're going to work on will be on Bleacher Report. And that'll be, I took those guys around the racetrack for about 15 minutes. I just kind of did a little interview, asked them a lot of questions, just being curious. And then we went about 130 for a lap and
Dang,
had a good time. Yeah.
that's cool. Was there anyone like that you've driven or given a ride around the track before that you were like nervous of like, oh, I want to make sure this is like a good experience for them?
My wife, Amy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Latart.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know you've
Yeah.
talked about that one, but I know that was like very like meaningful for him just because he kind of like could understand what you were feeling behind the seat, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That is a good place to wrap up Ash Jr. this week. Maybe we'll see a Days of Thunder sequel and more Hell Let Loose. So
Yeah. Thank you to Xfinity Wi-Fi. In racing and in life, speed isn't optional. It's expected. And as a driver in the Xfinity Series, as a team owner in the Xfinity Series, I rely on things to perform at their peak under pressure, and that's why I go with Xfinity Wi-Fi, especially when we're doing live Ask Junior segments. We want our Wi-Fi to be fast and no disconnections. So it's dependable internet and, no contracts, no slowdowns, no nonsense. Xfinity is a proud premier partner of NASCAR, and we're very thankful. So appreciate you, Xfinity, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Hey, it's Dale Jr. Did you know that we've got brand new merch from our Stars, Stripes, and Beers collection available now? We've got tanks, tees, beach towels, and more just in time for summer. Check it all out at shop.dirtymomedia.com. Time for some Dirty Mo Dough. We got Tampa Tim's here and also Russell, the professor. This segment of Dirty Mo Dough is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's just straight up kick ass. I like using FanDuel. Our manufacturer parlay didn't exactly go well. Damn it! We're not deterred, though. We're going to keep doing this. I hope everybody's dim. If anybody is tailing these, just put some pennies down. Let's be careful till we figure this out. Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, they were nowhere to be found at the end of that race. But it was Atlanta. It's to be expected. Tim's, did you have a pretty good Saturday?
I had a great Saturday.
All right.
3-0 matchups, had Chase to win. It was a good Saturday.
Damn, buddy. No
Yeah.
That's probably pretty rare for Atlanta. Mm-hmm. We're going to head into Chicago. It's a little more predictable, I think. Russ, who are the drivers in Tier 1 and Tier 2?
Alex Bowman.
Hey, Bowman is.
Here we go.
Bowman's Bowman's got a good matchup.
Don't get him going.
Let's go.
Top of the board, SVG, then Bell, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chase Elliott, and Stevie's favorite, Ty Gibbs.
Yeah.
Tier
Ty
1.
Gibbs has been up front at Chicago. He's been running well at the road courses, ran good at Mexico City. I like Ty Gibbs for a top 3, top 10, top 5 finish. He could possibly surprise us with a win.
Yeah.
SVG is going to be tough, though, on the street course.
Super tough.
Yeah.
And
Should be a
Christopher
little
Bell.
close for this time.
SVG was driving a collie car last year and got fenced. And so, we don't know how that would have played out, but I think Colleague wasn't that great last year. Colleague's better this year. That's not a knock on them, but I think he's in a better car this season as he was last year. So let's look at some of these bracket matchups, shall we? All right, you got Keselowski and Dillon out of the gate. I don't think of Brad as a really great road course racer. TJ, how do you guys feel about it here lately?
Last year we were actually pretty quick at Chicago. It was one of our better.
Are you ready for Ty Dillon? Because Ty Dillon was up in the top 10 at Mexico City all day.
I hope we can't. I hope we prevent another Ty
field.
Dillon knock your favorite driver out video. So
I think Travis and Denny Bros are going to get their revenge on your ass this weekend. And so I honestly feel like, you ought to be sweating this man, because Ty Dillon ran good at Mexico City.
I'm not. Hey, you never know what's going to happen. But
you guaranteeing a victory?
I just know that we had decent speed there last year, so I'm going to hope that we go back and we find a little bit more and run good. Yeah, top 5 or 6 or whatever we ran.
TJ's sounding like Denny Bros on Twitter after an Atlanta race.
Mm-hmm. I'm optimistic.
I don't have you being top 10 speed at Chicago, just so you're
That's fine. You also didn't have Alex Bowman winning or running good at Mexico City either, and he showed you wrong.
Boom! Ooh. Damn.
Did you have Brad in the top 10 at Pocono? No, you didn't have him there either.
All right. Let's go with the Priest and Gregson. To me, I give Gregson's struggled on the road courses. I'm going to give it to Priest. Dude ran strong at Mexico City. That's a minus 150 to a plus 110. I think it's way, way bigger than that, Russell.
I agree. Priest started on the outside front row at Mexico, won stage 1. The only thing I'd say for Gregson is, he did finish better than Priest once at Chicago, so he does that. He has outrun him here. So
yeah. All right. Well, Bowman and Bubba, that's a pretty tight one there, but I definitely give Bowman the edge. Bowman's gonna, listen, Bowman won the race last year, but that was because they called it because of the darkness. His strategy, he had to come back to pit road at some point to get fuel to be able to finish that race.
Yeah, you know how I feel about this one. And they have a lot of history too. Like, remember that this is where Bubba got in trouble here last year for slamming Bowman
after the
post-race.
Yep.
All right. And Bowman also hooked Bubba back at the Roval in 2019.
So do you think Bubba beats him outright?
No.
He's got
Reddick.
top 10 in the last 13 road courses.
Reddick versus
All that.
Hocevar. I think Reddick ran good at the this race last year. I like Reddick on the road courses over Hocevar.
Totally agree.
Chase Elliott, Nemechek. I think Chase Elliott goes out there and gets it done. Allmendinger versus Gibbs. That's a tight one, but I got to give it to Gibbs. Gibbs has been really strong on the road courses. Ran up front at Mexico City. Ran up front here last year. He's ran up front at both the Chicago races, and ended up driving himself back into a top 3, I think, last year. So after that strategy was kind of working against him, he still had fast enough car to get himself a good result.
I like it.
And AJ's best finish on at Chicago, 17th.
Yeah, well, we've only got 2 races to go by. I mean, you could say those are coincidental, but I think Colleague's better this year. He'll be up in the top 10, but I think Gibbs bests him by a couple positions. If it all just went perfectly for both guys, I think Gibbs has the upper hand. Jones versus Stenhouse is an interesting one. They're both at minus 115.
Man, this is a close matchup here.
Do you think that the improvements by the club, Legacy Motor Club, do you think their improvements this year are enough to give Jones the edge?
I do. I think Eric's driving with a little extra right now as well. He's been pretty decent the last few races, and I'm giving the edge to Eric.
You got to factor in the 50% probability that Hocevar wrecks Stenhouse again.
There is that.
Yes.
Jones has finished better than Stenhouse the last 5 races, too.
There you go. All right, Busher versus Smith. I got my man Busher moving on through. I mean, he's going to win it all, so obviously he does move it on through. That's right. That's right, TJ. That's right.
Eat my Cinedust.
Yep. All right. Well, I like those matchups. What you got?
Tim's, what matchups do you have your eyes on?
I'll be honest. I do love Eric Jones over Ricky Stenhouse. I think he should be he should be the favorite. It just shouldn't be a coin flip, to be honest.
Yeah.
Based off Mexico City as well. He was like top 15, I feel like, all day.
And then to bet, SVG obviously a heavy favorite. How do you weigh betting someone like that when it's such a heavy favorite?
Well, man, he dominated by 16 seconds. It's tough to, as long as you get a plus sign next to it, I feel like you're in good shape.
You got to stop with this stuff. Mexico City was a new venue for a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
every time we go to a new venue, it's a road course. He's going to be way out in front. Do you think he's going to go to Sonoma and win by 16 seconds? I mean, do you really think he's going to?
He could. I mean, yeah.
He can't.
He was going to win last year before he got caught up in that wreck.
By 16 seconds?
I don't know about 16 seconds, but I mean,
you start going to these tracks that we've been to a few times now. Our drivers are better than what you think. We go to a new venue. The first year, everything worked out perfect with the rain and all that.
Yeah.
Street course, single file restarts. Everything was great for him. But you go to these other tracks. I mean, he looks human at these other tracks. What we've been to.
Chicago, I don't know. I
don't think we're there yet at Chicago.
No, we're closer, but we won't be. He's definitely the favorite in my opinion, but he's not going to win by 16 seconds.
But
yeah,
so he doesn't have to win by 16 seconds though for that bet to cash.
Yeah, he can win
Thanks. Good point. Yeah, really, I didn't know that.
I still think a plus sign next to his name would bet him.
Is there another drivers that you might look at?
I like Ty Gibbs. He's been consistent here the last 2 years.
Ty has adapted really well at the road course stuff, and he's done. I think he came into this new car at the perfect time, and he didn't know the old car, so he doesn't know all the old traits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything Ty knows is with his new car, and I think it just helps him at these places like that quite a bit. And he's done great.
Let's get into our manufacturer parlay already. I think we should take SVG in the Chevrolet, Gibbs in the Toyota. What's the Ford? Russell, I want you to help us on the Ford. I really just want you to outright pick the Ford.
Send it up.
Busher?
Chris Busher.
All right.
Center dust.
All right, it's SVG, Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher for the manufacturer parlay this week. And that'll be it, man. This 30 Moto segment was brought to you by FanDuel, the premier gaming destination in the United States. Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Tims.
Thank you, boys.
All right, it's time for the white flag. The teardown was live on YouTube and Twitter following the race. Great feedback and conversation around what Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi thought of the event. And Actions Detrimental dropped on Monday. The race didn't go well for the Denny Bros, but still, he comes in every week, even when things are tough, and delivers a great breakdown of all the difficult moments that he faced in the race. So very gutsy performance and professional performance on Actions Detrimental by Denny Hamlin. Door Bumper Clear also came out on Monday. Ryan Blaney was the guest, and every time Ryan Blaney's on, we have a great show. You won't want to miss that.
Yeah, it was good.
Him and Hocevar is not finished yet, so can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, the social media post from Spire really sparked Blaney.
I know. My guest interview this week is with my good friend Josh Schneider. Josh is a pal of mine for years, and we'll have a lot of fun kind of looking back over some of the things we got ourselves involved in. Herman Schrader and Speed Street also come out on Wednesday as well, and on Thursday another episode of Bless Your Heart with Amy. And on Sunday, the 5th episode of Becoming Earnhardt is released, focusing on the 1980 season. Those have been awesome, and loving the feedback from everybody who's been enjoying the new series, the 1980 season of Becoming Earnhardt. So that's it. That's the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, TJ.